Earlier tonight, hundreds of people protested in front of the St. Augustine Police Department. They even marched through the streets of St. Augustine at one point.
Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
And although these demonstrations come after the death of George Floyd, some of the protesters are also voicing concerns over what they describe as other racially charged issues. Things like police brutality against African Americans and the lack of police transparency in their view. The News4Jax reporter Eric Avanier is joining us outside the St. Augustine Police Department where the protest started. Eric?
Yes, that protest started here in front of the steps of the St. Augustine Police Building, and then it transitioned into a march throughout the streets of St. Augustine. It was a march that was loud, it halted traffic, but it was peaceful.
No justice, no peace, no racist police.
That was just one of the chants shouted by protesters as they marched through the streets of St. Augustine. The event was organized by Pastor Ron Rawls, who says he really appreciated the overwhelming number of white people who joined the march to protest what he deems racial injustice towards African Americans. Most recently, the murder of George Floyd, who was killed by a white police officer last week.
The people that are out here with us, they have very strong skin. They're able to look in the mirror, because if I can't be honest and talk about the demonic and evil spirit of white supremacy because their feelings are hurt, I can't be effective. And so for them to be out here and me be able to speak the truth that I have to speak as a prophet of God, it says a lot about them and their character.
And while this protest was organized as a result of the death of George Floyd, it wasn't just solely about Floyd, but also the social and racial problems across the U.S. that have been highlighted as a result of Floyd's murder.
Obviously, we have a problem in America. It's not a black problem. It's an American problem. And we all want to do our best to make America better for everybody.
And based on the number of motorists honking their horns in support of this march, it appears many others feel the same way. Now, at one point during the protest, we saw the police chief. He was out here on the street here. This is King Street. And he actually stood right beside one of the organizers to make sure that he was safe because we had traffic going back and forth. We also saw police officers that were walking with the protesters, and they were pretty much acting as their personal security. Reporting live in downtown St. Augustine, Eric Avanier, Channel 4, the local station.